November 10th, Feast of Saint Leo the Great. Welcome to Daily Saints with Grace. Fast, faithful stories told with clarity and heart. Rome had shaken by arguments, by armies, by fear. A single voice answered with doctrine, courage, and calm. That voice belonged to Leo. He did not shout, he clarified. He did not run, he stood at the gates. Today, we remember how a deacon became a pope, how a letter steadied a council, and how one meeting on an open plain changed a nation's heartbeat. Walk with me. We followed his pen, his preaching, and the day he faced a warlord and did not shiver. Before the crown, he had served as a deacon in Rome, organizing, reconciling, and writing with a careful hand. He learned about people by listening first, then speaking like a builder setting a cornerstone. When a crisis broke between leaders in Gaul, he traveled to heal the division, and while he was away, Rome chose him as bishop. He returned to a city that needed a pastor who could hold doctrine and daily bread in the same heart. On September 29th, for 40, he was consecrated Pope Leo I, already steady, now responsible for an empire's conscience. He preached often and wrote more, because he believed truth survived when it was clear, not loud. Confusions about Christ's identity spread like fog. Leo answered with a letter to Bishop Flavian of Constantinople, the Tome of Leo. It explained what the Church believed in words, simple enough to teach and strong enough to stand. The letter traveled farther than any army and prepared the world for a council that would test every line. When the Council of Chalcedon met, Leo did not attend. His legates carried his tome and his authority. Bishops read, argued, and finally confessed what his letter had made unmistakable. Christ was fully God and fully man, one person in two natures without confusion or division. The council applauded the clarity. The Church exhaled. A pope's letter had become a lighthouse for centuries. Then came the dark rumor. Attila the Hun was moving toward Rome. Leo rode out to meet him on the plains of northern Italy, near the river country by Mantua. He brought no army, only faith and the moral gravity that courage gives a face. What they said remained between them. What the world saw was simpler. Attila turned back. Rome slept that night under a quieter sky. 3 years later, the Vandals under Genseric arrived by sea. Rome could not stop them, but Leo placed himself between rage and ruin. He negotiated mercy. No burning, no slaughter, churches spared as refuges. The city suffered plunder, but it did not lose its life. A shepherd had not prevented the storm, but he had saved the flock. He kept preaching sermons that named vice without humiliating sinners and named hope without ignoring wounds. He defended the primacy of the Roman See, not as a trophy, but as a service that bound churches together. He cared for the poor, organized relief, and used authority the way a carpenter used a level, quietly, constantly, to keep the house true. When he died in 461, people felt they had buried a father. Centuries called him the Great, because language itself seemed steadier after he used it. Councils echoed his lines, homilies borrowed his tone, pastors borrowed his backbone. If Rome had a calmer heart in a violent age, it was partly because Leo taught it how to breathe. Comment, he steadied us, if his courage strengthened you today. Like the video, subscribe, and share with someone who needed clarity more than noise. May his voice guide ours, firm, patient, and brave. Saint Leo the Great, pray for us.